Hi there, it's Jill McDowell here for StencilGirl Creative team. Today I'm introducing to you a new monthly feature called What's Old is New Again. I'm taking you to my thrift store, a Savers in Manchester, Connecticut, to find a project that I can breathe new life into. So let's head on inside and see what we can find. I consider this store to be huge by thrift store standards, and I usually come here about once a week to search for projects and inspiration. One of my favorite places to peruse is this wall of grab bags. They're filled with all kinds of surprises and you never know what you'll find. Once I scored a roll of player piano paper here. This wall's always been a great place to spark my creativity. I spied something on this wall to use in my project and I put it in my cart. But you're just going to have to wait a little bit to find out what it is. For the past few months I've been toying with the idea of replacing the curtains in my studio. So I've made my way into the curtain and drape aisle to see if I can find a pair that I can spruce up in stencil. There's an awful lot to choose from, but I'm aiming for a pair that's 100% cotton in a neutral color. So what do you think of these? They're 100% cotton, a neutral color, and at $5.99, how can I go wrong? These babies are definitely going home with me. Well, I'm back at home now, and I want to show you what I bought in addition to the curtains. This is the grab bag I put in my cart. The bag was full of upholstery samples. I found this one that I really loved and I'm planning on working it into my design. It is important that you wash your curtains first before you stencil them. And while this could turn into a rather risky proposition, the tag does say dry clean only, I think it'll be safe for me to live on the edge to say. Besides, the worst thing that can happen is that I'm out $5.99. So I washed them in my machine using the cold water setting and then took them out of the dryer before they were completely dry. And they washed up just beautifully. These are the supplies I use to stencil my curtains. I'll put a full list in the post. I use GAC 900 to turn my regular acrylic paint into fabric paint. And I use measuring spoons when I mix my paint to make sure that the color stayed the same throughout the project. I chose Terri Stegmiller's straight stem stencil to use as stripes on my curtains. There's two things that I really wanted to change with these curtains structurally. The first of them was that they're tab tops, and I've never been a really big fan of tab tops. The second one is they're too long, but I'm also not a big fan of hemming. So I decided to take the easy route out, and all I did was I folded the top over and then went ahead and used the back of that curtain in that area as a canvas, so room for more stenciling. Adding some collage fabric medallions seemed like a great way to incorporate my inspiration fabric into the curtains, and a little bling too. We're going to use some vintage, old vintage fabrics, and these actually were cannibalized from a skirt and I think a blouse that I got at the thrift store. We're going to use some Pellon heavy duty Wonder Under, and then we're going to embellish it with things like, we have here, this is a doily that I got at the thrift shop, and we're also going to use some of the pieces that I cut out of my inspiration fabric that I got at Savers. And we're going to use a stencil. This stencil is Doodle It Up Blossom by McGuire. It's one I use a lot. I really like its open design. I think it's going to work well for this. I'm going to be doing a little embroidering, so I'm going to use some embroidery floss. And I think I'm going to use some beads too. I'm going to be using some Wonder Under by Pellon to fuse my fabric together, and it's going to add a little bit of stiffness. What it really is a paper-backed fusible webbing that you activate with your iron. So I have cut 2 pieces of it already to size. What you want to do is you want to cut pieces about a little bit bigger than your stencil, but you want it smaller than the piece of material that you are going to be fusing it to. And there's 2 sides to this paper. One is a rough side, and you probably can't see that, but it's a little rougher, and one's a smooth side. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be fusing the rough side of the Wonder Under to the back side of our vintage fabric. I'm now going to take I want this material to be the outside of my medallion. So I'm just going to take a Sharpie and I am just going to trace around the outside of the stencil. Eventually, we're going to have something like this. Here I'm just lining up the stencil on top of one of the pieces, and then I'm going to go ahead and use a Sharpie pen to mark where I'm going to embroider later. Now I'm going to peel off the paper backing from the back of my flower petals. The hardest part is always trying to find a place to start. And then all I am doing is just taking my needle and going right next to it, pulling it through so it bends. So I don't know if you see that. So I've got little stamens that stand. I've already started putting together my fabric collage, and it's time to add my medallion. Although there is already some Wonder Under on the back of it, I wanted to make it a stronger bond. So I did that by doubling it up with some more Wonder Under. I finally figured out a trick for getting the paper off the back of the Wonder Under. I wish I figured this one out before. So I found that if I just made a little tab and I pulled back that Wonder Under and just snip it off, so I have one piece that doesn't have any Wonder Under it, I'm going to be able to snip it to pull that paper off much easier. So that's on. What I probably will do off camera is I'm just going to take a little stitch just in a few places just to make sure that that stays tacked down and doesn't come up. But thank you all so much for being here with me today and sharing with me my first post as a member of StencilGirl's creative team. I hope that I've inspired you to take a trip to your local thrift store and to learn what they're all about. And while you're there, pick up something old and bring it home and make it new again.